Hi, I'm Ella, I'm 19 and I'm making this video to raise awareness for meningitis because when I was 16 I contracted bacterial meningitis. There's two types of meningitis, bacterial meningitis and viral meningitis, and bacterial meningitis is the more scary one, I guess, because you can get septicemia, which is blood poisoning, and that's why people lose limbs. Signs and symptoms of meningitis. Everyone thinks it's the rash, but I would say I didn't get the rash until 2 days after I was already on antibiotics in hospital. And the main symptoms to look out for are flu-like symptoms, so you're sick a lot and stuff, but the main ones are you're really clammy and hot but your hands and feet are cold, and this is the same for babies as well. Stiff neck, really sensitive to light. Like I remember I had to lie in the dark when I was first ill before I knew what was wrong with me. So what happened to me? I basically had flu-like symptoms for several days. It came on very suddenly with a sharp stabbing pain in my leg because you can get really bad muscle pain. Then I started being violently sick, and for a few days I was just so ill. And I went called unconscious, but I was screaming and stuff, apparently, this is what my mum tells me. And then they called an ambulance. Turns out I had meningitis, which I got diagnosed with a few days later. I was induced into a coma so the swelling on my brain could go down, because meningitis is basically a brain infection. I've had certain side effects. I had eye problems that have now kind of sorted themselves out, kind of thing. I rely on my glasses a bit more, but my eyes are doing good now. Because it was 3 years ago. I get tired, I still get really tired, I'm still unable to work at the moment. I get anxiety and have depression, but I'm really a lot better now. I'm really dealing with it. I've had therapy and stuff. Dizziness, I've had really bad dizziness, and luckily I had no problems with my ears, because a lot of people have something called tinnitus where there's buzzing, or deaf. I actually know a little boy that's deaf from meningitis. So I count my blessings every day. This is my sister Freya, and I just wanted to get her on camera so that we can get a different perspective of things, because I nearly died of the meningitis, and obviously that had a big impact on Freya because I didn't know if they'd be able to save me. It was like 50-50. But yeah, so was away, kidda. When Ella first got taken into hospital, when she was first, when it was first like suspected meningitis, when the paramedics took her in, me and my grandma and my mum had to take it was antibiotic. Yeah. So because obviously it's bacterial, it spreads, just in case like we could have contracted it as well. The first time that I went to, could you move up a little bit? Yeah, sure. The first no, not that much, Ella, move back in. Right. The first time that I went to visit Ella in hospital was the day that she'd been taken in, and she'd been put into an induced coma, and she was on a life support machine, and she was in like a small room in the intensive care department, and I went in and my mum was there, and she had you had like tubes down your throat and like loads of machines, and I remember thinking like it was a really funny thing that, well, not funny obviously in any way, but a really like odd thing to think that if it wasn't for those machines, like, she'd be dead. If it was a power cut. Believe it or not, I didn't think that ever. So we carry on. The doctors told Mum that there wasn't, like, they weren't sure if she was going to live or not. Like, they didn't really know. When Mum was like, is she going to die? They were like, we don't know. We'll do everything that we can, something like that. And like, I remember like preparing for that. I mean, we really did think that you were going to die, and it makes me think that like it's so important that everyone knows and understands the symptoms of it, because if Mum hadn't have called that ambulance, you would have died. You wouldn't, be alive. And it kind of makes me think, what would our lives be if you'd have died 3 years ago? Like, I don't even know. Obviously after the meningitis, it's been a long recovery for Ella,
I mean, you're probably not really recovered yet, and it's, you know, 3 years and 3 months on from when she got ill, but probably that first year was very long and very hard. I think we were all quite depressed and it was very upsetting, even though we felt sort of guilty for that, because it's like, you know, you should be happy, you know, she's alive, and we all did take comfort in that, of course, but we also, you know, felt quite traumatised from what had happened, and just as things we've seen, like images that will never leave my head. So yeah, it's very traumatic, but you know, we're so lucky as well.
Well, just thanks for listening, and I hope this video helps other people so you know the symptoms and stuff, because if we'd have known, we would have acted a lot sooner. But yeah, thanks for your support, and if you can share this video to raise more awareness, then do. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Imagine if it wasn't recording now.
Imagine!
That would be a part.